Welcome back to Adventures with Bam. I'm Brent Billings.
And I'm Maggie Billings.
And this episode has us debriefing our weekend outing to Palouse Falls.
What an outing it was. A little bit impromptu.
I mean, we'd kind of been planning it. The initial weekend that we had kind of penciled in on the calendar was a few weeks ago, and then it ended up being terrible weather.
Yeah, it was super windy and cold, and that just sounded like not fun at all. We also knew it was not going to be a huge hit with the boys because there's only so much adventuring you can do. Like, there's so little anyway. So it's not the kind of place where you would really want to hike with little kids. And so, yeah. So we were kind of like, well, if we're going to do this, like, let's do it. Let's maximize our chances that it can be a good time. And then the weather was just really lovely on Saturday. So it was kind of an impromptu, like, hey, should we just go here in a little bit? And sure enough, we did. 4
hours of driving for 1 hour at the falls, which was almost too much, really, for the children.
I mean, I don't regret it.
Darius was actually having a great time. Torrin was having a little bit of a tough time.
He was melting down. Yeah, slept a good chunk of the drive out there, which was good, especially handy because he gets car sick. That's becoming more and more of a thing, unfortunately.
For the most part, the roads are pretty smooth. The highway portion that leads into the park entrance is a little bit twisty. And then the actual road into the park is a gravel road for a couple miles. And not as twisty as the highway, actually, but still a little bit squirrely and a couple of tight corners and stuff. So not necessarily ideal conditions, but he did fine as far as that goes.
He was asleep, so
he was asleep.
That
yeah.
helped,
right.
Which was, I think, also part of the problem because then, you know, we're a couple minutes from arriving, so I'm trying to like gently wake him up, like, "Hey, buddy, we're almost there. Gonna wake up. So, you know, finally, when the car is parked and we're like talking at normal volume, getting in and out of the car, he starts to wake up. But it just kind of seems like he never really recovered from that post-nap fog because he was just a little cranky the whole time. Like, just kind of mad about most things, and got in his head like halfway through the time there that he would rather be watching Paw Patrol. And I was like, well, buddy, like, we're here, we're outside, it's a beautiful day, we've got this great view, like, you know, we can watch Paw Patrol anytime, but like, this is a beautiful adventure that we're on. And I think when I said we can watch Paw Patrol anytime, he heard that as
skip bedtime, watch Paw Patrol.
Yeah, we can watch. Oh, so like right now, anytime, right? And I was like, no, that's not really what I mean. I just mean that's available at our disposal whenever we choose to dispose. This is not that moment. So then he was like, well, can we go home? And I was like, I don't think you realize how long it took us to get here. Like, we're not 3 blocks from our house right now. So yeah, he started melting down pretty bad and I had to take him to the car. And then he was upset because I was like, okay, he's awake now. He definitely needs to take the Dramamine before we start the drive out. But he was sure that taking the Dramamine would make him sick because I think in his mind, he has been sick every time he's taken it.
Yeah.
Because we haven't really used it in a proactive way very much before. It's typically been very reactive, like, oh, he just threw up. Here's some Dramamine, so it doesn't happen again. So it took definitely some convincing to get him to take one. And then he was just kind of in a pleasant fog for the rest of the drive home.
I don't know if I regret making the comment, but you were concerned about when we were leaving and how late we were going to get there. And I'm like, well, it's going to be the warmest part of the day. And I don't think we're going to need more than an hour with these guys there anyway, which turned out to be true.
Oh, so, yeah. What would you regret about that comment? What do you mean?
You know, the idea of jinxing it.
Oh, no, I think...
I don't actually believe that would be the case.
Right. But yeah, no, you were accurate, and I pretty much knew you were right. I just didn't want to have to rush, like in the off chance that it went well. But yeah, there's not much for kids to do. Like if your kids are not content to just, and sometimes our boys are, happy to just like run around on some grass, but this was not one of those times.
Darius was definitely having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
We did see an actual German Shepherd there, so that was fun.
That's a win right out of the gate.
And we'll have some pictures, little blog posts that we're going to assemble with unknown photos. I haven't actually pulled out my big camera to get all the photos off of it, so I don't know exactly what's going to be there, but it was a nice day for the falls. The water was not as high as I've seen it, but it was high enough that the full width of the falls were in play, so that was good. Not as magical when it's late season and there's not enough water to go over. It's like 3/4 of the falls shuts down when the water
That's so
gets
crazy.
a little bit lower. Yeah.
I mean, I've only been there one other time, which was 9 years ago, and that was March or April also, and it was quite full.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, very, very different. Well, not very different. A different experience now, obviously, going with kids, but also hiking is not as much of a thing.
Yeah,
apparently.
It seems like they've kind of shut off more of the park. There's like a section that we hiked to the last time we were there where you can basically go right over the falls. I mean, it's not a safe hike at all. It's very unprotected.
It was kind of amazing to me that it was allowed. When we were there last into that hike, I was like, okay, people are doing this. So obviously this is doable, but it was not, how like sometimes you do something and you're like, okay, you can tell people have come through here to straighten this up and make sure this is safe. That was not done.
Which, whatever. And I don't know if that stuff was already in play beforehand or if that was a COVID thing. I do believe that
the no hiking now?
Yeah, I do believe that the electronic payment system, the cashless ticketing system is a COVID, what I would call benefit, because we did manage to scrape together enough cash to pay for the ticket. But when we got there and I could just tap my watch, I'm like, this is how it should be.
Get them airline points.
My watch doesn't get us airline points.
Oh, well, boo.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Save my cash for something else.
We don't need to talk about that on this. There's plenty of other podcasts about how to get points for things.
What else was different about the falls? I feel like there was more fencing up, maybe, than there used to be.
I don't think so.
No, not over on the left side. Where
Oh, yeah, sure. They had some other stuff.
Up on top.
Yeah. And there were definitely a bunch of people over there. So I don't know. We didn't wander over that way. We didn't really have time.
Mm-hmm.
That was somewhat new. I don't exactly. It looked temporary. So I don't know if they're coming back later to install more chain link.
Mm-hmm.
But all the main stuff was the same.
Sure. Yeah. How many changes can you really make to Washington's state waterfall?
And then, yeah, that was the 2018 bill that they passed to designate it as the state waterfall, which is...
No, it was 2014.
2014, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it had already... Is that right? That's the year that we went. Or no, maybe it was 2018. I don't know.
I didn't take a picture of that sign.
Well, a quick Google search would answer that question.
Okay, so it was 2014. You were right. I was just thinking that it was pre-pandemic, but I don't know. I've forgotten why I was thinking that. So anyway.
I mean, you're right. It was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, but I just don't remember why I was even thinking that.
Who can say?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Something interesting to know about Palouse Falls. If you haven't been there, like, look at pictures, whatever. You can see that it is high. I love to tell people, and told the boys the other day, that someone intentionally went over it in a kayak once. And I pull up that video once every couple of years just to remind myself that people do crazy things and survive all the time.
All right. Well, I guess we'll put that link in the show notes.
Gonna have to do it. And yeah, so I was telling the boys about that. I was like, hey, see how high that is? They were like, yeah. I was like, someone went over that in a canoe or in a kayak once on purpose. And Darius was like, was that a good idea? I was like, no, it was a bad idea. He was like, did he die? I was like, no, he actually didn't die. Mm-hmm. So he's like, but why did he do that? I was like, I don't know.
What a shame.
People do crazy things all the time. But.
And then also groundhogs.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think that's what they are. What else would they be?
I don't know.
They're hogs of the ground.
Little furry creatures running around the ground.
Darius called one a furry beaver. And I was like, yeah, that checks out. They're a very similar shape and vibe. Just a furry-tailed ground beaver, ground hog. They look more like a beaver than a hog. So, and some kids speaking some Eastern European language, feeding it. So that was exciting.
Yeah. Not enthusiastic about the idea of feeding wild
No,
animals.
like don't feed wildlife. And also,
But if you do, Maggie will probably enjoy it.
Yeah, like don't do it. It's a bad idea. I don't endorse this behavior. But if you're going to do it, I'm going to take a video and I'm going to enjoy watching it. So, do what you got to do. Like, I know that it's not possible, but also if I had had a raspberry in my hand and I knew that groundhog would eat it out of my hand, I would have absolutely have been doing it. Like, this is just one of those things where I know what the right thing is to do and what the wrong thing is to do. And I also know my limits.
All right. Well, when you get
When it
arrested
comes
for feeding wild animals, this audio we played in the court as evidence against you.
I think when I get arrested for feeding wild animals, everyone will say that's exactly what we always knew she would go to jail for. It would be shocking that it hadn't happened before this point. Like, don't do it, but also if you do, show me how.
All right. There you go.
Animals and waterfalls.